Welcome, and thank you for joining me today for this stretching series. We're going to work through a number of functional stretches all the way from your fingertips to the top of your head. If you would like to, please feel free to follow along. Otherwise, you can use this time to learn these movements and just kind of catalog them and later on use them when you see fit. So, first thing we're going to do is start with some wrist circles. So you can ball your fists if you'd like, or keep your fingers nice and long, but you want to really feel that rotation through the wrists. Try to get a good range of motion. You should feel some pull through the back of your wrists. And go the opposite way now. Excellent. Okay, then I just want you to curl your fingers in nice and tight and stretch them as wide as you can. And curl them in, give a little squeeze, and stretch out. Remember to breathe. It's important to get a lot of good oxygen flow through the body when you are stretching and lengthening all of these muscles. And squeeze, last one, and stretch. Perfect. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is place our hand on a flat surface. So if you don't have a table or something in the vicinity, you can just use your arm, okay? And what I want you to do is lift each finger individually and try not to lift any other finger, okay? This is easier to do on a flat surface because it is easier to tell if you are accidentally moving some of your other fingers, but this is an exercise that seems like it would be quite easy, and you'll find that it's not as simple as it looks. This is a great strengthening exercise for your fingers, and it will give you a very clear picture of which of your fingers is strong and which maybe need a little more work. For example, my ring finger on my left hand is very difficult for me to move independently. Okay, and just give it a little shake out. Excellent. The next stretch that I'd like for us to do is for the arm and shoulder. So you may have done this one before. I just want you to bring your arm across your body here. Keep your shoulder away from your ear. Okay, so you don't want to be scrunched up. You want a nice, long, open posture, and then just pull this arm across your body. Remember to breathe. You should feel a nice stretch through that shoulder. And we're going to switch to the other side. So just bring your arm across. Keep that shoulder away from the ear. And pull into your body gently with your opposite arm. Breathe into that shoulder. Let it open up. Good job. And you can stretch open a bit. The next one is an excellent stretch to do, especially in the morning. I love this stretch. It gets a lot of good blood flow going to your brain, and that would be a triceps stretch. Your triceps are the muscles that run along the back of your arm. And in order to stretch these, you're going to stick your arm up and bend it. So you want to be reaching towards the center of your back there. And with the other arm, you can hold the top of your elbow towards your ear. So you're reaching down with that right arm, and you're keeping your elbow from stretching out to the side with your left arm. And you should feel a nice stretch through the back of your right arm here. Great. And switch to the other side. Bring that arm up, reach towards the back, and latch on with that other arm there. Great. And bring it out. Okay. The next stretch that we're going to do, now that we've got loosened up a little bit, is a chest stretch. So there are a few different ways that you can do this. If you have a door frame handy, you can put your arm up like a field goal type position and put your forearm along the door frame and stretch, kind of rotate and let the door frame hold your arm steady as you turn your upper torso away from the door frame. You should feel a nice stretch through the front of your chest, your pectoral muscles. Okay? If you don't have a door frame or you don't like the way that feels, you can also take your hands and clasp them behind your back and roll your shoulders down and back away from your ears. You're kind of pinching in between your shoulder blades. And if you can advance this move, you can bend over and allow your arms to fall towards your head. If it's too difficult, though, to grasp your hands behind your back, remember you can always do the door frame, and you'll just do one side at a time if you're doing the door frame stretch. Okay. So take a nice deep breath in. Feel all of the length that you've created so far. Feels good. Okay. The next stretch we're going to do is for the trapezius muscles. These muscles can tend to get extremely tight on a lot of people, especially if you're working at the computer or if you're someone who carries a lot of stress in your upper body. Okay, so this stretch should feel really good. What I want you to do is we're going to stretch the right side first. So take your right hand and hold your palm down by your side, okay? And I want you to press this palm towards the floor, not as drastically as that, but just a little bit. And at the same time, tip your head to the opposite side. So we're doing the right side, so we'll tip our head to the left and push down with that palm towards the floor. And you should feel a really great stretch through your trapezius muscle here. Don't overdo it. Don't push and tilt with aggression. It should be a fairly light stretch, especially if you haven't done any movement, activity, exercise in your day. These stretches are what we call static stretches, and they are better for after you've warmed your body up and done some movement. So if you've gone on a walk today, if you've exercised, if you just have a very physical job, I would say you can do these anytime at the end of your day. If you're someone with a more sedentary sort of day-to-day, you may want to just kind of walk in place for a few minutes, do a couple jumping jacks before you do these static stretches, okay? So again, heel of the hand towards the floor and tip the head away. And you can feel free to tilt your head more towards the front or towards the back and really kind of find where you feel like you need it. This one is great for really loosening all those neck muscles that we tend to overuse during the day. A lot of people don't have a very strong core or shoulder girdle. And because of this, we tend to use our upper body, our neck, all the muscles, all the muscles through the sides of our neck. And they get extremely tight because we are utilizing them to perform functions that technically they should just be helpers, not primary movers in. So helping to stretch these out will also allow more blood flow to the brain, which is great. Remember to get that oxygen in, deep breathing, and think about breathing into the muscle that you're stretching. So feel that, and you may even feel like you're able to stretch further when you think about getting that oxygen into that area. Okay, so you should have a nice loose neck. You can kind of roll it around, see how it feels. Okay, that's one of my favorites too. I'm glad you like it. The next stretch we're going to do is in a similar vein. So as I was mentioning, our shoulder girdle is an area that has a number of muscles that help hold up your scapula, which is otherwise a floating bone. It doesn't connect to anything else, okay? And they are extremely important in a lot of functional movements throughout the day. So you have your rotator cuff muscles. You may have heard of the rotator cuff before. It is created of the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, the teres minor, and the subscapularis, which is underneath your scapula. So these muscles are kind of difficult to get to, some of them, and we use them all the time and probably misuse them much more frequently than we think. So in order to loosen these muscles, this is a little stretch you can do. Take your hand and put it on your hip. Okay, so you want it kind of not too far back, more on the side, okay? And you're going to reach across and you're going to pull your elbow towards the front, okay? And you should feel on the opposite side and really on the side that your elbow's bent. You'll feel some stretching in both, like you're separating your scapula away from one another, okay? But don't cave in and just kind of fold to the front. We want a nice upright posture. Okay. And if this movement isn't something you can do currently, you can always take a towel or a pillowcase and use it pull if you can't get your hand all the way to your elbow. So this is a way to modify this stretch, and you'll still definitely feel it. Okay. So let's do that rotator cuff stretch on the opposite side. Pull your arm forward. Keep that hand on the hip. Feel that nice stretch. Perfect. Another thing you may want to add are some shoulder circles. And this is something you can do before you do your static stretches if you're mainly focusing on the upper body. Okay, so you do big circles backwards. If you have some crunching and popping in your shoulders, that's normal. We're gonna go forward now. Big breath. That's excellent. Okay. After doing all that, you may want to do just a simple trunk twist. So you're going to turn your body, your upper body, to the left first, okay? Your feet, you want your right foot to be able to pivot to allow you to make that turn. So your feet should not be just static on the floor, turning your upper body. You want to allow that right foot to turn, okay? And bring yourself with your arms almost toward the back of the room. So your hips will be kind of pointing diagonally from however you start facing forward. But your upper torso can actually continue rotating, okay? And if you want, you can do this a little faster. Or if you like that feeling coming through your obliques and a little bit in your back there, you can do it slower. It's completely up to you. You can hold. And you should feel all along your side body. That nice stretch. Okay. Next, we're going to do a little side bend. This one is nice and simple. You're going to put your arm up, hand on the opposite hip, and I want you to reach towards the sky while you bend, fold your body towards that hand that's on your hip. And again, this is the side body, but now we're doing the upper side body, whereas the trunk twist gets more of the lower side body. So bend to the side. Breathe in. And again, it's very important when you're stretching to remember not to overdo it. Sometimes you feel like, oh, if I can just go a little more, that feels good. And you'll notice, excuse me, you'll notice when you come back to a neutral position, oh, maybe that was a little too much. So bring yourself just to the point where you feel a stretch. Here's another one we're going to do for our biceps. Bring your arms out in front and straight out to the sides, okay? You're going to bring them past neutral, okay? And you should feel through your arm muscles, upper arm, and you can bring them down or up, okay, if that helps. you feel it through different areas of your bicep. Okay, you may even feel a little tricep in there as well. That's normal. But again, don't overdo it, because if you go too far, you're going to end up with an injury in these tendons. You have a lot of tendons in your shoulders, and we want them to be loose, but the way to get there is not to overstretch. Okay, it's very easy to cause injury accidentally. Okay, the last stretch that I'd like to take you through is one that's actually a lower body stretch, but I feel after working all of this up here, we've been stabilizing with our legs, and it's nice to do a little quad stretch. Okay, so you're gonna bring one leg, your foot, up behind your glute. Okay, so you almost want to feel like you're gonna make your heel touch your glute on the side that you are stretching. However, be sure that your knee stays pointed straight at the ground and your legs remain fairly parallel. Okay, you should feel that stretch through the front hip flexor and quad area. If you're having trouble balancing, you can raise the opposite arm or use that opposite arm to touch your belly button. It also helps people to pick a particular spot to look at. And usually, this is my bad side. One side will be easier to balance on than the other, which again is a sign that we need to do some, evening out in the body. So raise your arm if you need to. Touch your belly button if you need to. Just remember to keep that leg straight down as best you can. Okay. So now you should be feeling some good warmth throughout your body, feeling looser and more limber. And I guarantee that as you go out through the rest of your day, even if there's not that much left, you'll feel more capable. So all of these functional movements that you do, whether you're lifting a child or laundry or taking something out of the oven, doing the dishes, any sort of movement that you'll do, you'll feel taller. Okay? You'll feel stronger and more aware of the muscles that you've stretched, and therefore using them in the proper way will just be more intuitive. We do get very used to slouching, being forward with our neck posture, and as a result of the way that we sit and look at things and look at our phones and tablets and being on the computer, as a result of that posture that we assume, our tissue gets stuck in that position because all of this tissue becomes nice and soft and pliable when it's warm. But when it's cold, for example, when you are more sedentary, it grows into the positions that you assume and stays there. So similar to, let's say, if you left some Play-Doh out for a couple days, you would need to knead and mold it and warm it up with your hands to get it to loosen up and stretch out again. So that's what we're aiming to accomplish when we do a nice stretching series. And of course, if your body is warm from activity, that tissue is warm, it's going to be easier for you to get a deeper stretch with these static movements, okay, and be less prone to injury. So this is something that you definitely want to add into your daily routine. It only takes a few minutes. You don't have to dedicate a half an hour to stretching. You can just do some small ones in the morning while you're brushing your teeth or standing in the shower, making breakfast, whatever the thing may be, you can just add in a little stretch, okay? And doing that over time, you'll notice a tremendous difference in your ability to have good posture and, again, to perform these functional movements the proper way. So I hope that you enjoyed this little lesson and that you take it with you into your life and make yourself feel happier